Who were the children of Cain? And what does the Bible say about them? What did they do? Where did they go? But first, let's start with the backstory. In the ancient texts of the Bible, particularly in the book of Genesis, we are introduced to two pivotal characters who are said to be the first offspring of Adam and Eve. Their names are Cain and Abel. Abel, the second son, was a shepherd, while Cain, the firstborn, was a tiller of the ground. Their professions, mentioned in Genesis 4 verse 2, reflect the two main occupational spheres of the time, agriculture and animal husbandry. Now, in the biblical narrative, Cain's line diverges dramatically from his brother Abel's after a pivotal event. The book of Genesis 4 verse 8 tells us the grim tale of fratricide, where Cain kills his brother Abel out of jealousy, marking the beginning of a line referred to as the Children of Cain. In verse 10, the Lord God said, "What have you done? Listen. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." After this event, Cain is banished by God, who declares him a wanderer on the earth. And going out from the Lord's presence, verse 16 says that Cain lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. In Genesis 4 verse 17, Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. The Bible doesn't mention the identity of who the wife was, but other books do. Check out our channel for some more videos in the pseudepigrapher category to have an idea. And now back to the Bible. In Genesis 4 verse 17, we hear about Cain's son Enoch, after whom he named the city he built. This is not to be confused with the other Enoch, who was the son of Jared from the line of Seth, and who is mentioned separately in Genesis chapter 5. So, as a highlight in verse 17, it is mentioned that Cain was constructing the city of Enoch. This indicates the start of urban development and civil engineering, which would become one of the professions of Cain's descendants, thus leaving their mark on human civilization. And now to the main question of this video. Who were Cain's descendants after the birth of Enoch? And what did they do? Genesis 4 verse 18 says that to Enoch was born Irad. And Irad was the father of Mehujael. And Mehujael was the father of Methuselah. And Methuselah was the father of Lamech. Again, this is not to be confused with Lamech, the son of Methuselah and father to Noah, from the line of Seth, who is mentioned separately in Genesis chapter 5. Please click on the link below if you want to learn more about Seth, who is the third son of Adam and Eve. You will be amazed to discover God's message to mankind, coded within the names of Seth's descendants. Lamech, descendant of Cain, in verse 19, is notable for being the first polygamist mentioned in the Bible. He had two wives, Adah and Zillah. Adah gave birth to Jabal, who was the father of those who live in tents and raise livestock, thus furthering the tradition of animal husbandry. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all who play stringed instruments and pipes, indicating the origins of music and entertainment in this lineage. Again, Lamech's second wife, Zillah, gave birth to a son. His name was Tubal-Cain. He forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron, a representation of the birth of metallurgy and blacksmithing. This could also potentially suggest the birth of weapon making for warfare. And this becomes crystal clear in Genesis 4 verses 23 and 24, when a seemingly proud and vengeful Lamech calls upon his wives, saying, "Adah and Zillah, listen to me. Wives of Lamech, hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, and a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Why did he say this? You see, earlier in Genesis 4 verse 13, after Cain kills Abel, and after hearing his verdict to become a wanderer, Cain feared and said to the Lord,
My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whoever finds me will kill me."
But God in his mercy declares that anyone who harms Cain would suffer vengeance 7-fold. So, Lamech, by comparing his act to Cain's, seems to be magnifying the degree of protection or vengeance upon himself. By saying 77 times, Lamech might be emphasizing the severity of the consequences for anyone who would dare to harm him. This could be seen as an expression of extreme pride and arrogance. Could Tubal Cain's tools have played a role in Lamech's vengeful actions? It's possible. Interestingly, in verse 22, Tubal Cain is noted to have a sister named Naamah. While Genesis doesn't elaborate on her, her mere mention suggests there might be more to her story. It's also intriguing that, aside from Ada and Zillah, other women from earlier times aren't detailed regarding their origins or parentage. Do you have an idea why? Write in the comment section below. What is clear is that the Bible portrays the children of Cain as pioneering figures in various key human endeavors, marking the dawn of technological advancements and significantly influencing the course of civilization. So, my question to you is, was this a good thing? Or was it a bad thing? And most importantly, where did they learn it from? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And what do you know about Cain's death? How did he die? Truth is, the Bible does not provide specific details regarding the manner or circumstances of Cain's death. However, there are books called the Forgotten Books of Eden, or also known as the Lost Books of the Bible. These are apocryphal or pseudepigraphical works, meaning that they are not considered canonical by mainstream Christian denominations. The books offer further stories and details about Adam and Eve, as well as their descendants. In one of the books, there is a story concerning the death of Cain. According to the narrative, Cain lived in fear of being killed in retaliation for the murder of Abel, despite the protective mark that God placed upon him. This fear lasted for many years. Finally, the story says that while Cain was out in the field, Lamech, one of Cain's descendants, accidentally killed him. Lamech, who was old and had failing eyesight, was being guided by his son Tubal Cain while hunting. Mistaking Cain for a wild animal due to his movement in the bushes, Lamech shot him with an arrow, thus inadvertently fulfilling Cain's long-held fear of retribution. This account of Cain's death, while intriguing, is not found in the canonical Bible. As such, while some might find it of historical or literary interest, it isn't considered an authoritative or canonical account by most Christian denominations. Anyway, are you curious to know what happened to Adam and Eve's descendants? Check out our channel and you will find an intriguing video on the first book of Adam and Eve. So what happened to the children of Cain? The descendants of Cain, along with most of humanity, excluding Noah and his family, are believed to have perished in the Great Flood, as narrated in the subsequent chapters of Genesis. Thus, the direct lineage of Cain, according to the Bible, did not survive beyond the flood. Check out Noah's story on our channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. Join us next time as we explore more intriguing tales from ancient texts and their impact on the world as we know it.